Hello, I'm Kashawn Hopkins. I'm an instructional technology specialist from Oklahoma Public School Resource Center, and today I'm here to talk about Google Sites. I'm also joined here with my colleague. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Kurt Bernhardt, Director of Technology for OPSRC, and together Kashawn and I make up the OPSRC tech team.
Absolutely. If you ever want to reach out to us, you can shoot us an email at techteam@opsrc.net. That's a good way to reach us. We would love to talk with you and just kind of talk about any kind of technology that you want to talk about. It doesn't have to be what's inside of the Tech Talks. If you're interested in chatting, we are too. Under here, I also have a link to the slides that I'm using right now. I highly recommend that you take advantage of this because there's tons of resources in here that I would love for you to have. So this link over here is case sensitive. So if you're typing it out, it will be lowercase t period ly/4 lowercase cy and uppercase c. So please keep that in mind. If you see that type of address, all case sensitive, I try to label it in my notes and stuff here. I want to show you what is capable of inside of Google Sites, just to see what you can actually do. I have an example over here that I've kind of thrown together here of a little bit of a portfolio. Mostly, you'll see where I kind of trailed off a little bit. But over here, I got a nice little logo on the top left-hand corner. On the top right-hand corner here, I have a little navigation bar, which is quite nice. And you can have a couple of sub-pages if you'd like. In the middle, you kind of have a clear idea of what this is for. I put little markers on here. So this is the header. Here's a text box that I've emphasized a little bit there to make it a little nicer. I have a little bit of a table of contents here that I can click, and it skips to certain parts of this website here. If I scroll through, you see that I have lovely embedded images. I even took this image here of OPSRC's logo, and if I click on it, it takes me to the website. So you get to make nice little buttons, custom little made buttons, and I can put subtitles on here. I can embed videos, so I can click. It's me. That's fantastic. I can embed other Google tools. So here is a set of Google slides, and it's maintained the functionality of it, which is really nice on here. So not only the clickable buttons work on the inside of the Google slides, but I can also switch to the pages as well. So pretty cool that I can do that. I can even enter in full screen if I'd like, if I want to see the whole thing there. I also have this kind of like split layout view here, where I've had two videos side by side with subtitles on here. Got a little bit of collapsible text, some lovely dog pictures here. Very cool that I can switch through, a little photo collection there. I even have this nice little set of buttons that you can click on. I have a little bit of a calendar that updates automatically because it's linked up to one of my Google calendars. And some Google Maps on here. So some directions to OPSRC, just in case you want to visit us, I suppose, over there, you could. So these are just a good chunk of the features that are available inside of Google Sites, and I'll show you how to get access to all that. So a quick rundown on what we're doing. I'm going to give you a little bit of introduction, which I just did. I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of the theory of what we're doing here, just to kind of lay down the framework of what are we doing this, why are we introducing technology in our classrooms, and what's a good way of going about doing technology integration so it can emphasize the things that you're trying to accomplish there. Next, I'm going to answer a couple of questions specifically about the tool that I'm talking about, which in this case is Google Sites, and do a little bit of showcase, show you how to access some of the features. It's real easy to go in and start clicking around and start building things up there, and I want to show that off a bit. Then I will wrap things up by doing a little bit of a tool applications, just kind of discussing different ways that I feel like this tool can help enhance your classroom and help support some of the educational goals. And I'll be using some of the theory that I'm about to talk about. And then I'm going to wrap things up by sharing some goodies with you. I got a couple of resources that I think will be very good if you want to extend your learning. I'll send out a little bit of an evaluation and answer any questions you might have at the very end. So without further ado, let's get started. First of all, my objective after this training, teachers will be able to integrate Google Sites in their classroom to help students achieve their learning goals and acquire 21st century skills. So let me take this objective, break it down a little bit more pieces so I can expand on what we're trying to get here. First of all, whenever you're introducing technology, I think a good way of going about and making sure that you get the most out of it is think, how am I going to use this to support either my learning goals or support skills that I know students are going to need to be successful? So those two things will help kind of frame how you're going to use pieces of technology, whether it be something physical or a piece of software. So learning goals can depend on subject to subject, but I've also included here 24th century skills as labeled by the National Education Association. A few of them would be called the 4 C's, which is communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. And those 4 skills there, students, if they are able to build these skills, they'll not only be successful in your class, but in other classes and even outside of school in their careers in college when they're building their knowledge there. So whenever I try to pick out tools to do these tech talks about, I try to make sure that all of these tools have these different skills attached to it. So try to see the different places where some features will help students communicate ideas or collaborate with other students or problem solve or try to express themselves. It's all inside there. Once you're past the whys phase, you want to next think about, okay, how are we going to go about this? I have a tool selected out. What's a good way to use it? And there's lots of different ways that you can answer that question. But one way that I would love to offer to you is the Samura model, which is, it's basically kind of like a tiered way of thinking about technology integration. So these are like different types of activities or different ways that you can classify how you're using a piece of technology. Like, for example, you can use it as a direct substitute for something that you're already doing in your class, or you could use a function of that piece of technology to enhance a task, or you can completely redesign a task using a couple of different features for that tool, or you could create a task that you haven't created that wouldn't be possible without Google Sites or the tool that you happen to be using here. So I try to encourage people to try to work at this transformational phase down over here, modification, redefinition, but there's nothing wrong with substitution and augmentation if that is where your level of comfort is in terms of doing the technology integration. Sometimes you got to start down here in the lower levels before you work your way up to the higher levels, and you could be at multiple levels at a time as well. It's quite a flexible model for that. So that's just a little bit of the theory on there. I want to move and use that as kind of the backdrop for the actual tool that we're doing here, which is Google Sites. So very simply, the definition of it is it's a free web page creation tool. You're able to go in, build some web pages, put content out there. And it's not just good for teachers. I think there's lots of really great uses for students as well. So a couple of features I would like to highlight is it includes things like templates. You at a simple click, it changes colors, default colors, different texts, font sizes, all that. It's really nice for that. It allows you to embed different types of media. So you can put in videos, you can put images, you can either search for it out there, or you can pull in stuff for yourself, content that you've already created. It's very simple click editing and dragging, dropping, formatting. So you'll see a bit where I'll put in text in there, and if I want to change something, I just click on it. Or if I want to resize something and make sure that the formatting is the way that I'd like it, gives you a little bit more power for that. So it's really great. And since this is all done through the browser, it's very Chromebook friendly. So if you're using some of that, that's great. And then finally, the question, where do I access it? You can do it through sites.google.com. Sometimes I have trouble finding it. You can find it in kind of the 3x3 grid where you find the other tools for Google. Sometimes I have trouble finding. So if you can't, that's a good way to get to it through sites.google.com. So that's actually where we're going to start our showcase. I want to spend just a little bit of time, 10 to 12 minutes on doing the showcase here, just showing off. And I'll come back to these slides in a little bit here. I'm logged into my Google account here. So I'm logged in here. I have some of the sites that I had before, but something I do want to point out here is at the very top of my screen over here, I could start with the blank site. That's fine, nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's what I'm gonna do with you all. But you could also start with a very lovely template. Let's say, for example, you want a student to put together a portfolio. You just have them go to here, click on student portfolio. Might take a little second to get it started up, but once you do that, it will give them, just nice little picture there and suggestions for what they should be putting in there. Like, for example, an About Me page is pretty good. Just immediately informing whoever's going to view this website, like a little bit about themselves, what grade are they in, what school are they going to, what are some achievements they have, what's some strengths, some goals in there, and a little bit of contact information at the very end. All good stuff that should be included, basic things for a portfolio, but it just gives them an idea of having them think about what things would be valuable to show to other people. So it's really good stuff just to kind of get them started. But I think a great thing to do is to build in time for, if you are going to have students work with this, build in time for them to just kind of play around with some of the features that I'm going to show you now. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to the top left-hand corner and clicking on just a blank website. And that is a good place for us to get started. All right. So pointing out a few things on this layout here, Google Sites is recommending I use the template gallery. That's fine, we don't need it. We have the top toolbar up here, which I'll go over a couple of these buttons up here on the top right-hand corner. We have where all the action happens. Most of your editing will happen here on the bottom left-hand corner. This whole space dedicated here is what your web page will look like. And on the right-hand side, we have insert pages and themes, different things that we can add in or change to the website as a whole there. So that's a good overview of this dashboard we're working with here. Let's talk about the buttons, top right-hand corner here. I think they're quite useful here. Like, for example, let me edit this really quick with my name. There we go. There way I had something to change. So these first two buttons over here are the undo redo buttons here. So if I want to undo a change that I've just done, I can click on that left arrow. If I want to redo the last action I just did, you can click on the right arrow. You can also use hotkeys in there. So Control Z works, Control Y works. And it's really nice if you're ever making changes and you have to go back. Those are just good to be aware of. Next is the preview button here. This little, it looks like a little laptop and a phone. If I click on this, I get to see what my web page looks like to other people. And one really nice feature about this is the fact, I love this, bottom right-hand corner down over here, I'm in large screen view, which is kind of like regular monitors, laptops, but you can also click on these buttons and see kind of like a tablet view, or you could see a mobile view. So it gives you a clear idea of what the formatting is going to look like in different ways. So it's really nice. That way your website won't look messed up if someone looks at it at on a different type of device there. So it's really nice to be able to preview some of that. The next button, it's grayed up for me right now because my website's not published, but once it's published, I can do that. But it just gives me a quick link that I can click on, and it lets me copy and paste a link to the website there. Next button with the person and the plus symbol there allows me to collaborate, invite people to come in or invite groups to come in and collaborate and build on the website. And all that can be done in real time too. So if you're working on a page, somebody can be working on another page. It's really nice for that. Next is the settings and more. You can take a look at some of that a bit later. I won't go too far into that, but those are there. And of course, the big old purple button on the top right-hand corner, publish. I'll bounce back to this before we finish the showcase, but you can click publish and it will make the site go live and people can start visiting the website and view it. So pretty nice there. Right under publish, I want to talk about insert pages and themes here. And I'm going to start with pages and themes first because insert is where most of the other features are here. So the other ones won't take as long. First is pages. Right now we're working on the home page, but if I wanted to work on a separate page here, maybe I want to put my projects in a separate page and not have them on the front here. I could scroll down to the bottom right-hand corner where it says plus, and then click on that where it says new page. And maybe I'll type in projects page, something like that, and click done. And now I'm on the projects page. If I want to swap between home and projects, I just click on either one of these navigation buttons and it swaps between them. And something to notice is that I didn't have to create a navigation bar on my page here. You'll see at the top right-hand corner, I can click between home and projects. I can even click on preview and show you that we have a nice little navigation bar up here on the top right-hand corner, making it real easy for you to connect pages together. And on top of that, I can add subpages as well. If I hover over a page on the right-hand side and click on the 3 dots, one of the options is to add a subpage. So subpage. That way, if I want people to be able to hover over projects and they can see the subpages down there, real easy to kind of click and put those together. Next is themes. I'm going to click on that tab. And right now, I'm kind of like on a simple theme, just a simple color here. But if I ever want to change any of that, I can swap between things like simple or Aristotle. Maybe I could do a little diplomat. And I don't have to stick with these colors. I can always swap them. Each one of these circles is a different color, different feel to it. Or I could do this little paintbrush and pick any color that I want out of this spectrum, makes it look a little nice. Or I could change the font style to classic, heavy, and light. So there's a couple of different nice template variations of just combinations of text, fonts, and styles that still make the site look professional at the simple click of a couple of buttons here. So it's really nice there. Nice little themes there. I like the simple. I'm a simple fella, but maybe we'll spice it up with a nice green color there. That looks pretty good. And maybe, yeah, classic. There we go. That's beautiful. That's a professional page right there already. But we don't have anything in it quite yet, which is what we're going to fill in with a little bit. So there's lots of little goodies that you can insert in the site and make some changes here. If you ever want to change anything like in the text in here, you see that I put Kashan up here. I can click on this. So one really nice feature on this is that I can always click and edit things. So I'm going to add my last name in there. And you can see that in this text box right above it, when I click on the text box itself, I can do a little bit of just changing the formatting here. So I could change the font size or make this bold, add links in there. So you can do some really nice things in there. But you can also adjust the size of this box a little bit here. So I can adjust that a little bit left to right if I'd like to in there. It's really great. Okay, but what I'll have a little bit more power under is like if I add a text box. So I'm going to go to the top right-hand corner and click on text box here. And it spits that out right below. So I can say, welcome to my page. I know. And I can make it a little bigger there. Makes it a little easier to see there. Cool. And maybe I want that in the middle of my page there. So let me click and drag the edges of this text box. I'm going to change the alignment to center. And I can see there's a little place where I can put my cursor at the top of the text box. It's like 2 horizontal rows of dots there. And I can click and drag this and move this around in the section. And this is really nice because you can have a little bit more control on where your font, your text box is going to be. And it even helps you out with a little bit of alignment tools. You'll see that when I set it in the center, it gives me those helper lines there. So I know that my text is going to be centered. It will look nice when I put that together here. So really great stuff there. On the left-hand side, I can see that I can adjust things like the section background. So if I click on this little art palette there, I can emphasize this background. So I can just have it darkened in a little bit so you can see that text, or I can add a little shade of color there to make it look nice, or I could slap an image back there to hide behind my text there. So it's really nice that you're able to kind of highlight little sections that you think are important there. Next, we have the duplicate section button. That can be really useful if you're making a lot of the same types of sections and you just need to make small changes, or you can click the trash icon and completely delete a section. No problem. Very easy. You can just click at a button and then all that works there. All right, let me show you just a few more things here and then we'll get back to the slides there. I can add in images here. Quite easy. You can either choose to upload or select images. Uploading means it's coming from your local computer. Selecting means you can pull it from like a Google Drive over here, or you could pull it from images, do a Google search, or pull it from Google Photos here. So let me slap in. Yeah, I got an OPSRC logo there. So boom, I got the OPSRC logo. I can move this around just like the text box, kind of place it just within the section, or I could place it inside of the text box there if I want all that to line up a little bit better. So it's really nice if you want different features to interact with each other. So this kind of gives it a counterbalance to this page here. It looks pretty nice. You can also embed things. Like for example, if I wanted to embed a YouTube video, I got a URL already ready for me over here. I can paste that in there. It gives me a small preview, and then I can click insert. And there we go. I got a nice little video, and I can even adjust the default size for this or where it's going to be placed in my section here. And it looks quite nice. Or you could use an embed code if you're familiar with HTML, or if you at least know how to get to the embed code in there. You can dump them in there, and it works out quite nicely. You also have the option to click on Drive here and pull in other types of files from your drive. So if I wanted to embed like, which one of these is safe to put on here? Oh, this is probably good. Google Slides. So this is how I got my Google Slides on there with the functionality. So I'm just going to extend this out so it's wide enough for the page. Let me make that a little bit bigger there. There we go. So you can see how easy that was. I already had these slides ready, and now I could dump them in here. I can't see the functionality of them right now, how that works out until I go to the preview page. But if I click on preview, I can see slides work. I can click on these buttons and swap between the slides. No problem on there. In fact, I bet I could even click on where it says Google Slides and go straight to it. No, it just took me to Google Slides. That's fine. Okay, so those are the main 4 types of buttons there. There's other things that you can play around with down over here. Like for example, I really like layouts because it gives you something a little bit more dynamic to put on your page. Like for example, if I click on this layout on the second row, second column there, you can see that it gives me these little blocks that I could add either images or files or videos. I can put a Google Calendar or Google Map in there. And then there's little bits of text that I can put in there. So pretty nice. Or you could put together your own custom layout here. There's all of these buttons down here, like for example, table of contents. You could do an image carousel, where it's just a collection of images that you could slide through. You could do embed YouTube videos on here, or the last couple buttons are dedicated to, putting in other Google tools like Google Docs, Slides, Sheets. So you can embed all of that all on the website. So really nice features there. Lots of just robust pieces of media that you can put on this page. And once you're all done, top right-hand corner, click on Publish. Give it a website link. So I'll just say test OPSRC. I will want to make sure that I set who can view my website. In this case, this is just everybody that's at the OPSRC center, or I can click Manage and adjust who can see the website here. So right now it's set to only the people in OPSRC, but I can adjust it to the like public view or restricted view, like only if you have the link you can view it. So all of that you can adjust right as you publish the website. And once you click on Publish, people will start to view the website here. One last thing before I wrap up the showcase is when you publish your website, you will need, if you make any changes to the website, you will need to republish the website before those changes come through. So please keep that in mind. You don't run into any trouble here. Okay, I got a couple more minutes here, so let's try to wrap some things up. Let's talk really quick about some Google Site applications. I have a couple for you here, and I use the Samura model as sort of a framing device here for these different activities. And as I go through these, try to imagine what would Google Sites look like inside of your own classroom? Like, what are some different ways on the features that I've shown you that you could use in? So I'm going to give you some suggestions just to get the creative juices flowing. Like, for example, a substitution style activity would be creating a website and putting a bunch of remediation extension resources. That stuff's not just good for you, it's good for your other classes as well, like other teachers that teach the same subject, or you can maybe get in contact with other schools, pull together and put some of that stuff on here. So I think that's really good, just having kind of like a little resource center where you just have a bunch of different goodies in there, from videos to pages to PDF, any of that stuff, you could put it on there. An augmentation style activity would be able to like post a mix of videos and images to post classroom work. So you can say kind of like, hey parents, this is what's been going on in our class. Boom, it's all out there kind of in the public, so the parents can get an idea of what's happening out there and what kinds of really cool things that you're doing inside of your classroom. So I think that's a good augmentation style activity, just because you can put all sorts of different pieces of media in your web pages. Next, a modification style activity would be having students build and maintain portfolios. So students do tons of work throughout the year. So even if it's like, you know, a homework that they did really good, or maybe it's something that they've been spending like the last couple of weeks building together, but having students have the responsibility of picking out that work and kind of curating a list of what's valuable to them, what's valuable to the class, being able to put some of that stuff and getting that practice, I think is going to be really powerful, especially at the end of the year where you see just kind of like a large collection of things that are important to the student. I think that's good stuff. And then finally, a redefinition style activity would be having like a group of students, they collaborate together, they build a website, maybe they have some kind of research project or a book report to do, but they work together to put together a collection of resources themselves. And then they use that opportunity to look at other student groups' website and critique their content, so that way they can make revisions and make the presentation a little bit more clear. Maybe one group might be a little better at putting together a really nice looking website with nice features inside over there, so students are able to build on other students' projects on that. So those are just a couple of examples on how I think Google Sites can be used inside your classroom. All right, I got 2 more minutes on the clock here. Let's wrap this up with a couple of goodies and just a couple of links I want to share with all of you. So first of all, this next page is dedicated to things that I found in my research. I really do think that you can take advantage of any one of these links, and there's loads of goodies inside of them. So I think these are worth taking a look at if Google Sites is resonating with you right now. Next page is for the Samura model. Even if Google Sites isn't exactly for you, I think the Samura model can apply to any technology tool that you try to introduce in your classroom. So if you just want to get a little bit more out of the technologies that you're already using in your class or thinking about introducing in there, I think these resources gives you a pretty good start on how to use the Samura model and what are some different ways that you can kind of think about it. I think this really expands on it way better than I've probably explained it. And then finally, thank you so much for dedicating this time, just spending a little bit of time thinking about technology tools, or particularly about Google Sites. I just want to take a moment and say thank you so much for spending this time with us. Just a few last things so we can wrap this up. I have my evaluation here, so please take about a minute or so. It won't take you that long, I promise, and it will help us out in a huge way just to have an idea of what you think about what we're doing here. So we can make some tweaks, make it a little better for next time. So this link here, once again, is also case sensitive. So this is capital T period LY / lowercase GGZ as in zebra, uppercase K. So that is how you can get to our evaluation. It's a 1-pager, you do a couple of clicks and then boom, you're done. Just in case you've forgotten, and that's totally fine. If you have, I'm Kashawn Hopkins. I'm also here with Kurt Bernhardt, together with the technology team. If you want to reach out to us, you can do it at techteam@opsrc.net. I also have a link to our slides down over here, just in case. And one place that you should definitely visit on here, if you like what we do here, we're going to keep doing a few more of these, absolutely. So this is at opsrc.net/techtalks. If you go to this page, you can see our upcoming ones that we have. I'm going to be doing Blogger and Weebly in a little bit, so those should be pretty fun. And should be just kind of different takes on building websites here. At the bottom, we have our archived presentation. So if you missed out on other Tech Talks, don't worry. We got the slides, we got the videos, all that stuff is out there as free resources out there. And of course, if you see a piece of technology tool that you don't see on here, we would love to hear from you. So that way we could maybe build more of these in the future. So fill out this Google form right over here. Won't take you that long. And that way we can start generating some new ideas here. So with that, my time is up. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day.